Hi everyone, it's Amanda Ridout, health coach, and here we are again with our favorite pharmacist, Ben Fuchs, and we're going to talk about the last kind of acne in our acne series videos. How are you doing, Ben?
Doing good. Nice to see you, Amanda.
Nice to see you too. What are you going to talk to us about today?
My favorite kind of acne. I know that sounds kind of
Yeah.
twisted a little bit.
Yeah.
From a chemistry perspective, it's fascinating.
Mhm.
And it's the trickiest acne to deal with. It's the last kind of acne, and for good reason, because it's the hardest acne to address for skincare professionals because it's really confusing from a topical perspective. But if you go underneath and understand it from an internal perspective, it makes perfect sense. I call it thyroid acne. It's acne that's related to the thyroid gland. And if you're a skincare professional, you'll call it dry acne. That's what
Okay.
that's what estheticians call it and skincare professionals because it's a combination of acne, which is usually thought of as an oily skin problem associated with dryness. So you're left with this quandary. What do I treat? The dryness with my moisturizing cream or the acne with my drying agent?
Oh,
And nobody knows what to do because it's not a topical problem. And this really highlights in a dramatic fashion the problem with how we address the skin. We think it's a surface problem. We think it's a surface issue, and it's not a surface issue. It's an internal issue that shows up on the surface. And that's a major distinction that if you don't apply, if you don't understand and you don't apply, you're not going to know what to do. Now, you can get away with it with the other kinds of acne because you can just do some kind of blanket exfoliation or some kind of massive treatment on the surface and create some changes. But in the case of dry acne, you're really left with a dilemma. Which aspect do we treat? Well, obviously it's not a good. Neither choice is good. If you use a moisturizer, you can exacerbate the blocked pores and the oiliness of the oily condition. If you use a drying agent, you could exacerbate the dry skin. So what do you do? Well, we've got to understand the mechanism behind it. The mechanism involves the adrenal gland and the thyroid gland. That's why I call it thyroid acne.
okay.
Your adrenal glands are your stress glands. So when you're under a lot of stress, your adrenal glands will be making this stress hormone called cortisol. Well, one of the effects of cortisol is to make the skin oily. This is a generic response to stress. So if you're under bodily distress of some kind, if you're eating a lot of sugar, if you're running nutritionally deficient, if you have some kind of chronic degenerative disease, your skin is more likely to be oily because cortisol, stress hormone, one of its manifestations is oily skin.
Yeah.
Now, over the course of time, if you're running high cortisol, eventually your thyroid is going to respond by slowing down. This is one of the compensatory balancing mechanisms that the body has. If you're constantly running on cortisol energy, which I call coffee energy,
Yeah.
right? Jittery energy, it gives you the emergency energy, like if you're running low blood sugar or if you're having some kind of stressor going on. Cortisol is important. It gets you out of a jam, but only in the short term. In the long term, it can cause a lot of problems. And in fact, most of our chronic degenerative diseases, somewhere along the line, have some kind of aspect of elevated cortisol. There's cortisol elevation somewhere involved. In the case of oily skin, always there's going to be some cortisol. Over the course of time, as cortisol levels remain high, eventually the thyroid will slow down. And this is one of the major causes of hypothyroidism that's not addressed. You'll go to the alternative health practitioner and you'll get iodine. You'll go to the doctor and you'll get Synthroid. These are all the mainstream ways of addressing thyroid problem. But just giving thyroid hormone or just giving the raw material for making thyroid hormone is not going to help you if your thyroid is actually slowing down in response to the adrenal glands. Now, if you have a digestive problem, that can compound the issue, number one, because digestive problems can trigger stress hormone, so your skin will be oily, and digestive problems can cause an autoimmune condition of the thyroid.
Okay.
So that can exacerbate things. So if you have a digestive problem, that's going to make things worse. So if you're running high adrenal gland, high cortisol, because you're running stress, you've got some stress going on, degenerative disease, psychological stress, nutritional deficiencies, lots of sugar, whatever stresses there are, adrenal glands will kick in, you'll get oily. By the way, this happens in menopause a lot too. As women approach menopause, sometimes this will happen. You'll get oily, thyroid will slow down to compensate. When the thyroid slows down, your skin becomes dry. That's one of the things that happens when your thyroid slows down. And if you have a digestive problem, it gets even worse. All right, is that confusing?
No, it's not. It's just
Because
so sad.
it's easy to address.
Okay.
It's easy to address. First of all, if there are digestive issues, those need to be dealt with. And, you know, we've gone through this a lot. And I know we're repeating ourselves a lot, but the body is generic in a way. So all the solutions, or all the different ways you address our health issues, they're all basically the same because the body breaks down in a kind of generic patterned way. So it's all, whether you have multiple sclerosis or thyroid problems or osteoporosis or degenerative diseases of some kind, underneath it all, you're going to find cortisol, blood sugar, and a digestive problem, and it's the same with skin issues. So it's always really this triad of, I call it the triangle of disease, this triad of points that need to be addressed. So for dry acne, you're looking at adrenal glands, thyroid, right? And then maybe some food problems, some digestive problems. Focus on the digestive system, patch up the gut, biolumin nightly essence, probiotics, fasting. Fasting is a great way to eliminate skin oiliness, by the way. That'll really calm the body down, right? Nutritional support for the digestive system, glutamine powder, bone soup, anything that helps you build cartilage, glucogel caps, fucoidan Z or the Z radical. These are all ways to build up the digestive system, okay? Then you stabilize the blood sugar system because when you go into hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, or if you have insulin resistance, that's going to put a stress on the adrenal glands, and that can cause the problem with cortisol. So you work on stabilizing the blood sugar. The B vitamins, potassium, sweeties, obviously not eating foods that spike your blood sugar, more protein, etc. Then you go to the adrenal glands. The fastest way to calm down the adrenal glands is deep breathing. Slow, deep breathing.
Wow.
Now, you'll get some benefit from the food and you'll get some benefit from the blood sugar. Slow, deep breathing. You know, one of the things that we have in our culture is this idea that we have to always be working, that we're lazy if we sit on the couch, that we're lazy if we take a hot bath, that we're lazy if we want to get a massage all day, or if we want to get massaged every day. Yeah?
I'll take it all day.
Right? These are health tools. These are ways you tell the body it's safe. When the body feels safe, it doesn't have to crank out all that cortisol, your adrenal glands calm down, relaxing the body. Deep breathing is one way to do it, but so is hot tubs, so is warm showers, so is warm baths, so are massages, so is meditation, so is yoga. There's many, many ways to calm down the adrenal glands. Then there's nutrients that are very important for the adrenal glands. One of the most fascinating nutrients of all for all adrenal issues, but especially related to oily skin, is pantothenic acid, vitamin B5. Now, I've been making a topical vitamin B5 preparation for many years. My old company, what was one of our best-selling products, was I called it drying lotion, and it was topical B5 and zinc. So you can use oral B5, pantothenic acid, maybe 2,000 milligrams a day. That's a lot.
Yeah. And
then always take your B5 with your Beyond Tangy Tangerine or with some kind of B vitamin drink. You never want to take one B vitamin without a bunch of B vitamins, right? All right. Vitamin C, very important for the adrenal glands. Zinc, very important for the adrenal glands. The B complex in general, and B5 for sure, but also vitamin B12 is also very good for the adrenal glands. And you can get something called liquid adrenal extract that's very important for the adrenal glands.
Okay, I hadn't heard of that one.
Liquid adrenal extract. These are called glandulars, and you can get them for the thyroid, and get it for the pancreas and different glands, but also for the adrenal glands. And then directly for the thyroid, you don't really even need to do anything. But if you have some kind of digestive health issues, that can via the connection to the adrenal glands, you might want to correct those as well. But you don't really need to do anything specifically for the thyroid. Now, if you have iodine deficiency, if you live inland, you're not eating fish, for whatever reason you have an iodine deficiency, you might want to throw in some iodine. But once you take care of the adrenal glands, once you take care of the blood sugar, once you take care of the digestive system and then throw in some of the relaxation techniques, the deep breathing and the yoga, etc., your thyroid will take care of itself.
So let me ask you this. If a person's been on a thyroid medication and is weaning themselves off of it, like I did.
Synthroid, like Synthroid you're talking about?
Or even an Armour, which is a natural one.
Don't even call those medications.
Okay.
Those are thyroid hormone.
Okay, so if somebody's on that and gets off.
And by the way, it's one of the best-selling drugs. You know it's one of the best-selling drugs in America is thyroid hormone?
Will your thyroid sort of come back on its own without you really having to do much?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it's not, unless it's damaged or unless you have an autoimmune problem, that's where the whole digestive component comes in. But unless the thyroid is permanently damaged, which rarely happens, your thyroid problems are metabolic. They're chemistry. And so once you modify the chemistry, as long as the thyroid is not organically damaged somehow, or you don't have an autoimmune problem, yes, the thyroid will come back because it's not defective. It's just responsive.
Right.
It's just responding to the milieu, the biochemical milieu. And once you change the biochemical milieu, the biochemical environment, as long as you don't have damage or something organic, God forbid cancer, or if you have an autoimmune problem, those are reasons that the thyroid might not come back. But if there's none of that present, your thyroid problems are responsive to what's happening in the biochemistry of the body.
Got it. Okay, so in the meantime, while people are doing
Oh, and
these
then
things,
topically, by the way,
yes, yeah,
topically use vitamins. You don't put anything occlusive on the skin that covers up the skin. Heal the skin with vitamins, especially vitamin C. Pantothenic acid, you can use that topically if you want to dry the skin, but you want to be really careful about doing what most people do, and that is to occlude the skin. When the skin is dry, the tendencies want to cover it up. That's just going to make matters worse. And of course, if you have oily skin from the oil secretions, it's not even going to be comfortable for you.
Right.
But here's an important distinction that needs to be made. The dryness is caused by a problem with moisture. The oiliness is caused by a problem with oil. These are two completely distinct mechanisms. It's not like they're necessarily opposite. We think dry skin and oily skin are opposites. They're not really opposites. Oily skin is the manifestation of not too much moisture, or oily skin is the manifestation of too much oil.
right.
Dry skin is not a lack of oil, it's a lack of moisture. And so you can't resolve your dry skin problem by smearing oil on top of it.
Okay.
That's not going to help the problem. In fact, it will make the problem worse. And I don't know if we talked about this, I think we might have. When you put something occlusive, you know what I mean when I say that? It covers it up. The skin slows down production of its own moisture factors in response.
Yes.
So if you have this dry acne problem and you try to occlude it to get rid of the dryness, you're going to end up with more dryness, and you're not going to do anything for the cortisol, and so you're still going to have oily skin and you're still going to have dry skin, except it's going to be worse. So you really got to address it at the adrenal gland level.
Okay.
And that means blood sugar and also digestive system.
So can somebody put a mix of these vitamins and spritz it on their face, or?
You could. It's not going to really do anything except to give you some temporary relief, because the problem is underneath, and that's really the big problem with how we treat the skin. And we've been led to believe this by people selling us products, but the fact of the matter is we look at the skin here, it looks homogeneous. It looks like one sheet. It looks uniform.
Right.
But really, if you zoom in with your X-ray vision, you'll see layers. Yeah. And when we treat the skin, we treat the very, very tippy top, the surface layer. But the problems, for the most part, sometimes there's a surface problem, but for the most part, the problem is underneath. It's not here. And while we may get some temporary relief by putting something on the surface, not only have we done nothing to correct the bottom layers, but we've suppressed things in the bottom layers, in effect shutting down chemistry. It's a very poor strategy. Using a moisturizer cream is only a positive strategy. It's only a helpful strategy for people selling you the moisturizing cream. Why? Because the more moisturizing cream you use, the more you need. You become addicted to your moisturizing lotion, because as you're putting it on, you're suppressing your skin's own moisture factors. It's one of the greatest scams ever in the world of healthcare. But we believe through some kind of hypnotic trance, and I don't understand it personally myself because I'm a guy, and guys don't necessarily have this problem as much as women. Sometimes guys do though. Yeah. We believe that when we rub something on the surface and then we feel it, that we've moisturized our skin.
Right.
We somehow believe that the product that we're rubbing our fingers on is moisture. And we go, oh, I moisturize, and all you're feeling is the product. And the product, and that's because it's explain it to me, Amanda. You explain it. I don't know how that,
it's what we've been taught our whole life.
We've been taught that way.
I mean, very few people know anything else.
Skin softness should be about the skin, not about the product. Skin softness that we all want, moisturization of skin, hydration of skin, the feel of quality skin like your baby or like a child has, that soft quality is a question of the underneath layers, the layers underneath. But because we don't see layers, it doesn't look like there's layers here, right? Well, we think we'll just smear it on. And then we'll rub our finger on, and we're told that that's moisture. Right. It's wax, it's oil, it's emulsifying agent, it's preservative, it's fragrance, and if you're lucky, it's maybe 0.5% or 0.1 or 2.2% of something stimulating or nourishing, but rarely even that. For the most part, your standard moisturizing cream is water, wax, oil, maybe some glycerin or something they call a humectant that supposedly attracts water, preservative, and fragrance. And it's been that way since Helena Rubinstein got off the boat from Russia and decided that she was going to be in the skincare business. But she didn't know about skincare.
Yeah.
She didn't know what a moisture factor was or what collagen was or that the skin was layered. She was all about just rub some stuff on and start yourself a business, and women can be beautiful and empowered. And that was probably an important message for 1920. But today, we're still using her techniques. We're still using her style when we know so much more about the skin, about the biochemistry of the skin, the molecular nature of the skin. And to me, that's what we've been talking about here for the last couple of months in this series, is the biochemistry that's underneath what we see on the surface. And if you want to change what you see on the surface for reals, as Ollie G says, right? For reals, you got to go into the biochemistry. You got to go into what's happening underneath.
So I guess bottom line, we have to ingest our nutrients in order for them to start affecting our skin.
The vast majority of your skin is a reflection of what you're putting inside your body. Now, I'm not marginalizing the psychological aspects and all that, and that's important. And I'm also not necessarily marginalizing or dismissing some topical strategies. There are. But by far and away, the skin is, what you see on the skin is reflective of what you're putting inside your body.
Well, that was amazing information as always, Ben. And everybody, if you guys want to see the whole series, there's 7 other acne videos that we have in the playlist. So go look for those. When you see this video, share it with your friends, and really it does make a huge difference. Ben, thank you so much for everything you do, and we will be back with another topic.
Thank you.